Hello, peoples. How are you today? This is Fujiji, okay? The inner person called Silas. Good Jiu Jitsu, talking to all my peoples, my religious peoples from my Punjab, Waiguluji Carcasa, Waiguluji Kipate, para mi gente latino, que puede entender y hablar español y inglés. Mucho gusto en conocerlos, un placer para servirlos. And my cultural people, my black people, the United States of America, what's up, your people? I love you all. Okay, thanks so much for the respect you give me as an elder. And for my root culture, the Gije people and my root culture people, I talk to my ancestors there and I say, Muku, Mbungi Yayo, the hombre, Ilongo, Mwazi, Chimu, Chimuku Indi Ichi, Binu, Bia Erimu, Obwa, Ese Chimuku, Nona Inem, Amokwamo, Eti Unu, Inhe Ekiga Emitumo, Amokwamo Erimu. Na idi obula obwa. Ese Chimuku di ma. Chimuku di ike. Chimuku ako nuche. Ese Chimu azulamu. Chigi asalagi. Chiani asalaani. It would seem that the majority of my posts are all physical. I'm on a trip right now with Fuji. It's my third trip this year where I get to travel with the owner of the Fuji franchise of Tim Morrison. Great man. We are all flawed. But in that flawedness, including myself, especially myself, we try our best to be the best version of ourselves. And in that sense, all that is us, the good and the bad, group together, we take it in, and we try our best to practice what my Bantu people call Ubuntu. Ubuntu is I am because we are. It's the acknowledgement that we exist in relation with each other. And in many ways, as Kamala Harris, like her or don't like her, I like what she says about this. She says leadership is about lifting people up. And if I use the Swahili Bantu aspects of the language, coupled with this idea of Bantu idea of Ubuntu, it would be Ubuntu Simba Simbi, in Jambo Nkubwa. And in essence, we're trying to convey that I am because we are lifting up those who lift up others with compassion and respect. My practice of Sikhism allowed me to find and have the courage to find my ethnic root culture and be proud of it. Now, there are plenty of examples throughout my life. My 65 and now going on to be 66 years of life. There were plenty of examples for me to find pride in myself, but so was my acquiescence to the powers and my desire of hubris, vanity, greed, and ambition to be seen. And at heart, I wanted to be seen, to be recognized. When I read the books of my ancestors, the great ones like W.E.B. Du Bois, or when I talk about Professor Baldwin, James Baldwin, and the like of them, okay? Even when I speak of my incredible love for Dr. Henrik Clark, okay? I realize that, for better or worse, my Bantu peoples, diasporic Africans that live now in the Americas, we want attention, we want to be seen. and because of the consequences and the circumstances that brought us here, our ancestors, this is a subsequent feeling that we all have because we have been seen and viewed as invisible, at least with regard to our talents and worth. Now, what does this have to do with Jiu Jitsu? Jiu Jitsu is a practice of youth, which as an educator, I understand learning as pedagogy, and adult, which is andragogy. And when we talk about adults and their learning, there are three principles. When I was rejected from the PhD program for adult education at the University of Tennessee, it did not stop me from wanting to learn all the books they were going to make me read. I had read many already. I had done the work in preparation for being there, but when they don't let me in, it don't matter to me. I just decided I'm going to write my book, and I will use other verifications to make it happen. And I ended up making sure I read and thoroughly the basic principles of what adult education is all about, and there are three. One is self-direction, the second is experiential, and the third is transformational. Jiu-Jitsu meets all those criteria, every bit of it. And in my book, the one upcoming, the Black Book of Jiu-Jitsu, Warrior Art of Self-Mastery, we understand that these three principles, when applied to the gentle art, which we call Jiu-Jitsu, is incredible. And because of this, we are able to take those principles and enlighten the idea of what the gentle art is all about. And I can get very erudite and verbose about this, but I'm going to be straightforward. It's the great revealer. It's the ability for you to see yourself as you really are in the worst of circumstances. What would them be? You are in a situation where you are being mentally, physically, or emotionally assaulted and controlled, at least physically, mentally, and emotionally. And you must overcome them. It's not a safe place unless you make it one, which means you must invite yourself into these situations to see who you really are when you are looking at the abyss, which is what? Well, quite frankly, it's about self-control. Jiu-Jitsu allows us to have super self-control. In this sense, you must dominate yourself even when you are being dominated by others. With time, you become very, very good at surviving. And with more time and practice, you will thrive. How does this relate to the experience of being Bantu, an African diasporan, is what most people call when they want to relate it to color, black? What does that mean? Well, this is associated with almost every aspect of those who are successful in the United States, in the world. Those of us who have reached the highest levels that we can reach potentially with regard to expression and being seen, being recognized as someone of worth. Jiu-Jitsu allows us to first earn that. And though it may seem for many people who are not in the majority culture, we must work twice as hard or 3 times as hard as others. In my 65, almost 66 years, I've seen very little to dissuade that idea or thinking, if the goal is to impress those who would think of themselves superior to us. Even when we go beyond the cultural issues with regard to the United States of America and the interaction of peoples, we will find this in life. Anytime we see ourselves in a situation where the odds are against us. I love to think of the idea that beyond the culture, beyond the ethnic rivalries and whatever, beyond the realities of being a person like myself, okay, or from a culture like my culture, which is very unique, we must realize what has been taught to us for years. The griot teach us this. We are stardust. We are not our bodies, which we call our vessels. We are not our minds. We are not our emotions. We are infinite beings, infinite energy beings, funneled into a finite vessel of vast potential. The potential is purpose, the purpose of the energy that animated this vessel. And when you practice Jiu Jitsu properly, you will realize the power of this thinking. Because you will not practice Jiu Jitsu so that you can dominate others. If you do this, you will find yourself in an ever circling drainage of self-worth. Because there's always somebody who can whoop your ass. The question is the same question that allowed our people to be who we are. Can you survive that ass whooping and grow and come back stronger? And what will teach you to do that? Life can teach you to do that. Hit or miss, success or failure. But in the art of Jiu Jitsu, in the practice of it, the proper practice, which is surviving, and then learning from that survival to thrive, we understand that if you cannot kill me, then you cannot defeat me. If you cannot defeat me, you cannot stop me. If you cannot stop me, the only thing that can stop me is myself, and that will come from a lack of self-control. This is what's missing, and if I boil it down to everything in the practice of Jiu Jitsu, it will be the practice of respect. And in order to have respect, the first thing you must do is understand the definition of respect. Many call it the definition of fear. You have a fear of being conquered, a fear of being hurt. It's an action or a thought or an emotion based on that. Well, let's get rid of that. The practice of Jiu Jitsu teaches this if you do it properly, if you teach it properly. It's the ability for you, whether a person is physically, mentally, and emotionally superior, or physically, mentally, and emotionally inferior. We call mental, physical, and emotion modal behavior. And if one's modal behavior is higher or lower, it matters not. Your inner self will search for the value and worth of that person, whether they be a partner in Jiu Jitsu, or an enemy or an opponent in Jiu Jitsu. No matter what, you will seek in your heart, mind, and emotion a connection to that person, which will allow you to see yourself in them, whether what you see is abhorrent or wonderful. You will connect with them and see a value and worth. At the very most, someone to follow and be inspired by. At the very least, someone to teach you what you can be if you follow the way they do. Either way, it's all about you finding the best way to become a best version of yourself. This is what Jiu Jitsu is, and it all begins with a simple thing. Simple two things, maybe simple three things. First, it begins with controlling your breath and the things that I write about that in the book, the Black Book of Jiu Jitsu. And then the second is a bow. We must stop fist bumping and slapping hands in Jiu Jitsu with regard to that being, okay, now I can hurt you. Now I can go crazy on you. Now I can, no, don't talk about that. The first thing we must do is acknowledge the fact that if that person is on that mat with you, they have taken a big leap in self-development. If they've been at it for a long time, and a long time meaning a month or more, they deserve your respect, no matter what rank you are, your respect with regard to what they have gone through. It should resonate with you, what they are going through. The pain, the suffering, the blood, sweat, and tears. The idea that every time them come in there, they feel low. They know that they are never going to win. Very rarely they're going to even show or be anything that they think of themselves before they came into the situation and volunteered to be choked or manipulated, or the 5 areas. They're going to feel either pain, possibly get injured, possibly be maimed, possibly suffer asphyxiation, and maybe the worst part, death. They have actually understood this, and they still wish to come on that mat, and they put their lives in your hands, and you put your life in their hands. You think a slap in the hand and a fist bump is going to acknowledge all of that? No. It's not that simple. It never has been. And the people who created Jiu Jitsu realize this. The bow symbolizes a respect for even trying to get on the mat and putting themselves in that situation. Whether they know it or not, it's going to be a self-development role. It's going to be a lesson in adult education. It's going to be, as they have done, self-directed. They want to do this. Experiential. They're about to feel what it's like to be subjugated, to be less than they believe they're going to be. And they're going to be transformational because they understand and see examples that they can have faith in. Jiu-Jitsu should be practiced as a religion. You can call it secular or you can call it unsecular, but the bottom line is this. It is the repetitive and committed practice to gain enough experiences to make you believe and have faith that one day you will be the best version of yourself. A religion is a resource. A faith is a process. And in that sense, it is a science, because all science is process. And that is what we practice. In the book I've written, that is now being reviewed by black belts and other individuals of experts in the fields of Tai Chi, in the fields of traditional Chinese medicine, and in the field of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I am integrating an explanation that should support the idea that Jiu-Jitsu is a self-directed, a experiential, and a transformative practice. And that is what I wanted to bring to you in this series of talks. And that is why I'm here. I had the privilege of actually talking, rolling, meeting, and being educated by Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners of all levels. And in that experience, during this experience, which is not over yet, I just went through my last school that we visited, and it's been amazing. Every time I learn more, because every time I am more and less. I was able to visit with Tim Morthland, who is about to have a very big surprise for you in a few months. I'm very proud of him. We went to Tribe in Atlanta, Georgia, led by Professor Piera. I probably got the name wrong, and I'm very sorry, but he's amazing, man. He is I believe, 6th stripe, probably almost a 7th stripe black belt. And he's a monster of a man. He is about 6'5", maybe 6'6", maybe even 6'7", something like that. He's as tall as my professor, Dion Thompson. But he weighs easily, probably close to 300 pounds. He is a superhuman. Touching him, it was like touching a superhuman. I can't explain any more than that. Not a monster. I would say a monster if my understanding of what that term means, that he was someone destructive and dangerous. No, he was lethal, but not dangerous. He touched me and allowed me to work. He was a vessel for me to work hard. And I barely survived the 2 rounds with him. It took 2 rounds, but I guess he could have tapped me and broke me in half and stopped me and faster than anything. But he actually did not. He was really seeing, basically, my heart. Of course, my technique, of course, and my physicality, my tactics, but he was seeing all of that, but he's also seeing my heart. Where is my heart at? What kind of person was I? And he saw that and he brought it out. And it was wonderful. He was lovely. He did not tap me the first round because I guess I did enough work to earn the right to work with him longer. And then the second round that we went, Same thing. He repeatedly did a sweep on me. I could not. I felt like a child. I finally tried something else, and even got up and everything. And then, of course, then he submitted me with the armbar, beautiful. I mean, controlled everything. It was amazing. Okay, and then we went back again and worked some more. And at the end of the whole thing, I asked him, "Is there anything I could have done better?" Of course, you're supposed to ask that. And he said, looked at me and he said, "Well, no." Which he said sometimes when you do, and I explained the techniques I was trying to do. De La Hiva, I went inverted on him. I did in Minari roll, not because I was being show up. I was trying to get around him and around his path, stop him from passing into a counterattack. Um, uh, did a beautiful pull guard between his legs. Did a beautiful back to guard. Then went to the butterfly guard. Everything. It didn't matter. It didn't work. Nothing worked. It didn't matter. And you know what I realized? It doesn't have to work. Just keep trying. And that my mindset was such that that's why I think he allowed me to keep working. He even at the second round allowed me to pass, which was amazing. I mean, I worked for it. He didn't give anything, but he allowed it to happen. He could have stopped it anytime he wanted to, but he let me do it. And then after that, he submitted me. But the point was, he said, no, sometimes everyone is different, he said. And he said, you must apply, you must work with what you have. And he said that in this sense, I was doing a pummel legs because I saw you trying to do a De La Hiva, and you were really very feverishly and intensely trying to get it, and you locked the leg and you almost got me to move. But I leg pummeled, and it was beautiful, man. It was beautiful what he did to me, and how he did it, smooth he did it. And again, he almost got me to the point where I was about to lose self-control. I was about to overextend, overtense, and overexert. And I'd bring it right back and keep working. It didn't matter. You know, he threw me around, whatever. I just kept coming. It felt just like when I rolled with Adam Wazinski, but at the same time, more intense, more powerful. And with that power, he also showed me compassion, control, self-control, and respect for the work that I had. And I just thought that was amazing. I had to work with other black belts at Atos and at Buckhead, I believe, and different levels of work. At the Atos, not observed as much, but I had to work with two black belts and a purple belt. The black belts were amazing, and I learned a lot, and back and forth, it was just beautiful. It was drilling, situation drilling, and with the purple belt, believe it or not, the purple belt was a really big guy too, very intense, very going, and he actually passed my guard. It was amazing. I worked with him, but again, without overextending, overtensing, and overexerting. I was not able to. I could show myself, but couldn't do it. But the other ones wasn't that bad. It's amazing how things work with physicality. But that being said, it also tells me that belts don't mean anything. They really don't. There are expectations, and of course, as soon as you meet them, you're fine. But as far as victory and defeat, survival is more important than anything. And lessons can be learned from anyone. And that's a lesson I learned. I went to Buckhead, and Professor Samuel Joseph, amazing man. Oh, the other places, professor I remember his name was Cao Castro. Que para mi gente latino, él es de un parte del sur de Brasil, es un parte que tiene hablar español, pero él tiene un acento portugués. It was very incredible to listen to him speak, and a great guy, and we worked with him. Great instruction. The Buckhead, going back to Professor Joseph, Haitian, beautiful man, beautiful in-law. I think his in-law, her mother was there working. And I worked with his people. Again, the same compassion that I was shown by the professor, the Brazilian professor, Professor P. I was compelled to show the same compassion when working with others, whether I was at your grade school, and it didn't matter. Making sure that I lift myself up when I needed to, bring myself down when I don't to, because the point of the work was not me showing my ass or showing what I know. Okay? It was me trying to mentally put myself in the position of the person I'm working with and allowing him or her to have the best training experience they could ever have while working with me. I am pressed to say that this is not the easiest thing for anyone to do. I fight with my ego all the time. There is this thing that wants me to dominate and to be seen as doing well and doing better than I did before. And that's okay. It's not so much that I have that feeling, it's where is it directed to? Who can get the direction of this? Okay, woman's comment. And if I don't have my opponent or partner at the highest level of my concerns when I train, I am not practicing Ubuntu. I'm not practicing true Jiu Jitsu. Those who believe that if they don't put themselves first in the practice of Jiu Jitsu, then they are not going to perform properly when they have to use it. They are completely wrong. Or, without saying wrong, I say this. They're at a level where they have more to learn, myself included. I struggle, it's 65, going on 66. I struggle with this now. I must sincerely put my opponent higher than myself. In this practice, I will protect myself, I will survive, and I will elevate my practice of Jiu Jitsu. My hand may be raised, my hand may not be raised, but my concern should always be my partner or opponent, because he is not my enemy. She is not my enemy. Even in competition, they are not. They are the rock that I sharpen myself on. I must be the rock that they sharpen themselves on. If I do perform well, it should be in the service of having them feel better about themselves. This is a high standard. And I know that I may fall short in this. But whether I do or not, my considerations are more important than the results, or at least than the intent. My considerations are first. Who do I serve? As a black belt in Jiu Jitsu, I serve all that wish to use my skills to better themselves. This is a high goal, but in the sense that I have limited time on earth, and that I am an example and blessed with skills that I can carry and will carry me into longevity. I believe that the strength of my longevity, the strength of my conditioning, preparation, and need to compel myself to practice the gentle art will be based on the purpose and the goal of it. And the goal must be to serve my family, to serve my students, to serve my Jiu-Jitsu community, to have that community serve those that protect this country, and this country as it sets itself to protect the world from the greatest of human conditionings, or I should say the human condition. We are at our best when at our worst. We are at our worst when at our best. How do we overcome this? There are many ways, but first you must have the desire to do so and find the discipline that provides a process that elevates you to your highest potential. And then third, the diligence to continue to pursue it until you reach your goal. We will have many, hopefully several conversations like this if they are desired. And it is my hope that they help people understand and there are questions asked, and that they help people rise up to a level of personal improvement. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye.